Coming up on Mountain News this morning, police are piecing together the killing of United Healthcare CEO as they are more confident than ever they got their guy. Plus, graduate student workers at UK are fighting for better pay as the university and students go back and forth.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning and thanks for joining us. We are inching up to that 6 o'clock mark this Thursday morning, Today is December 12th. Let's check in with meteorologist Megan Dusmall for a look at your forecast this morning. Now, Megan, we had a precipitation-filled day yesterday. I mean, we got both kinds, really.
We did. We got that rain, we got that snow, and thankfully, neither of them are in the forecast for today, so we're going to be a lot better on that front. But as we look at those current temperatures, well, it's going to be quite chilly. We're looking in the 20s with the feels like even lower, places seeing the upper teens in those feels like in low 20s. Now we will be warming up slightly into those forecast highs, and that's why you'll see the upper 30s and low 40s. So still on the cold side, you're going to need that coat all day long. So make sure you have that as you're heading out. Now for the next 12 hours, though, you will be looking at those the skies, and you'll be seeing mostly sunny weather, maybe a cloud or two as you're heading into the afternoon, but overall quite sunny with the temperatures hitting the high around that 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock hour. Madison.
All right, Megan, thank you. Now an update in the investigation into the killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. The New York Police Department says it has been able to use forensic evidence to build their case against the 26-year-old suspect, plus new information about a move his mother made in the days leading up to the deadly shooting. CBS's Jared Hill has the latest.
Just days after the man accused of killing Brian Thompson, CEO of United Healthcare, was taken into custody, New York investigators say evidence is placing him at the scene of the crime. They say shell casings found at the scene matched the 3D printed ghost gun 26-year-old Luigi Mangione had with him when he was arrested in Pennsylvania on Monday, plus a fingerprint match.
With fingerprints that we found on both the water bottle and the Kind bar near the scene of the homicide.
Collected near Starbucks, where surveillance video appears to show he'd stopped about half an hour before Brian Thompson was murdered. The NYPD says they found a cell phone in an alley near the hotel where the murder happened, with a matching fingerprint as well.
What they're doing is they're buttressing what they already have with further evidence.
Law enforcement sources tell CBS News Mangione had a spiral notebook with him when he was arrested, where he wrote about considering using a gun over a bomb to carry out an attack because it was targeted, precise, and doesn't risk innocence. Mangione's lawyer says he plans to plead not guilty. The killing of Thompson, a husband and father of two, has elevated anger over the health insurance industry. Caroline Roan of Pfizer.
I think all of us are taking a step back and trying to understand what's happening with patients and their experiences.
Yesterday, the CEO of United Health sent a message to employees vowing to make healthcare work better for everyone. Jared Hill, CBS News.
Mangione is still being held in a Pennsylvania prison while authorities work to bring him back to New York, where his second-degree murder charge is expected to be elevated to premeditated first-degree murder. A vape shop in Laurel County is accused of shorting employees on overtime. The Herald Leader reports federal authorities recovered more than $24,000 in back wages and damages for employees at 25 Vape and Smoke LLC. The U.S. Department of Labor says the business owner, Salik Rao, violated federal law by not paying employees time and a half for working more than 80 hours in a 2-week pay period. Rao signed a consent order agreeing to the payments. For the past year, several UK graduate students have been fighting for a pay increase for graduate workers. Now, some of those students say the committee has the ability to raise stipends is dissolving. However, UK says the committee has not been formally disbanded, but closed as it completed the committee's specific task. For the meantime, UK says they use different systems like the Oklahoma State Graduate Stipend Survey to calculate what UK stipend should be.
The problem with the Oklahoma State Survey is that it is not paying us anymore. It is not paying us enough to live. The MIT living wage calculator estimates that it costs roughly $40,000 a year, or that somebody needs to make roughly $40,000 a year to survive in Lexington as a single person with no children.
In a statement to our sister station, UK says the committee has not been formally disbanded as it completes the work it was tasked to do. UK adds that the university will continue to evaluate stipends each year so that they can ensure they are at or above their benchmarks. With some leftover snowfall in our area, it is important to know how to stay safe in the weather and also know how to get an accurate measurement of how much has fallen. WYMT's Amelia Lee spoke with meteorologists at the National Weather Service in Jackson.
Meteorologists at the National Weather Service in Jackson go outside every 6 hours to measure the snowfall, making sure to get accurate measurements and then totaling that up at the end of the day.
We need to know how our forecast is verified across the region.
Since eastern Kentucky is geographically unique throughout the region, with mountains, hollers, and valleys scattered around, different elevations will receive different amounts of snow.
If they're in higher elevations, maybe a little bit higher, low elevations, a little bit lower. So it really varies across the area, just given our terrain.
With a greater difficulty finding snowfall totals in areas closer to the Virginia border. Meteorologist Jonathan Marcus says the NWS is looking for more citizen snowfall totals from folks living in Harlan, Perry, Knott, Letcher, and other counties, especially those in higher elevations.
When people tell us where they are, we can figure out, oh, it snowed more on top of the mountain this time. Oh, it snowed less in this little localized valley or hollow. We can figure that out, and then that helps us improve the accuracy of our future forecasts.
If you want to take a crack at measuring the snowfall at home, the National Weather Service says to get a white flat board of some kind and put that down before the snow falls. They say to then get a marking flag of some kind, make sure you know where you put that white board, and then get yourself a ruler so you can accurately measure that snowfall on a flat surface.
The snow accumulates on different surfaces in different manners, so we want to make sure it's standardized.
Marcus says one of the first rules of forecasting is to look outside and see what's actually happening.
So we always really appreciate when members of the public during these events give us snow reports. However, it's important to make sure that the results are not necessarily inflated.
With ways for you to be involved in your local weather. In Jackson, Amelia Lee, WYMT Mountain News.
For more information, including a link to how to accurately measure snowfall at your home, just find this story on our website, WYMT.com. Winter weather has been a common theme in the bluegrass, including here in eastern Kentucky. With snow falling once again, that can pose a challenge for many crews to clear the roads here in the mountains. When snow sticks to the roads, some areas are cleared very quickly, others not so fast. Gary McQueen of the Laurel County Road Department says there can be some tricky areas throughout the county.
We got a lot of steep terrain around here and a lot of bad roads around the lakes that you really got to be careful on. You know, just make sure you do everything right and be careful when you do it and try to keep people safe.
It is a much different challenge in much of eastern Kentucky versus somewhere like Lexington or Louisville. The mountainous terrain creates an even bigger challenge in terms of clearing snow off the road. With the snow that came down here in eastern Kentucky, let's take a look at a couple of pictures sent in by our viewers. Here is a photo we received from Leslie County. This is one of the best types of snow. It is very pretty, but it did not stick to the roads. Here is another viewer picture. This is a snowy scene out of Johnson County. To see viewer pics, just go to this story at WYMT.com. And you can find the latest list of school closings on WYMT.com and the WYMT News app. Just scan the QR code for a link to download the app. You can also sign up for breaking news alerts.
We're watching this morning as those temperatures are staying quite cold, but will you have to worry about fog as you're heading out? The answer to that is no. Most places in the area are having quite good visibility this morning. Now, you could encounter some patches of fog as you are driving in some valleys or at the top of some elevation, in the higher elevations, but Those temperatures are quite cold. We are in the upper 20s with it feels like in the upper teens and low 20s. 22-degree feels like here in Hazard. And as we go to those high temperatures, upper 30s and low 40s is what you could expect for this Thursday. Madison.
All right, Megan, thank you, and thanks you for joining us on Mountain News this morning. More news is on the way. Hazard's Challenger Learning Center will soon be under new management, but not without a proper goodbye from its longtime director.